I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we meet today and pay tribute to past elders, past, present and emerging. Might just start with some housekeeping for this morning. Please, if you could switch your phones off, that'd be much appreciated. If there is an event for an emergency, if we just can evacuate down Mrs. Macquarie's Road. There'll be mics for questions, so if we can just pass those around. We'll start off with short statements from both our interim CEO, Heather Garriock, and our new Matildas head coach, Joe Montemuro, and then we'll go to questions. And then following the questions, we'll have some time for some photos and some visuals, but we won't have any time for any one-on-one interviews because we've got a whole range of commitments as well. So without any further ado, I'll call our interim CEO, Heather Garriock.
Thank you, George. They say all good things come to those who wait. Thank you so much for being patient. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. It is a privilege to stand here and welcome a new chapter for the CommBank Matildas. Today, I'm pleased to announce the appointment of Joe Montemuro, the 15th head coach of the Australian women's national team. Welcome, Joe. Before I speak about what Joe brings to this role, I want to take a moment to acknowledge Tom Samani, who has currently been in the interim role with steady hands. Appointing a national women's head coach is not a decision we take lightly. This has been a thorough global search as we were fully aware of the importance of this next appointment. As you'd expect, these processes take time. In this case, a little bit more time than we expected. From the very start, Football Australia has been committed to finding the right coach and not the first coach. There were many considerations and many moving parts, as you know, but I'm glad we have finally got our man. The right man who will take this team to the next level, I am sure. This moment is now, and Joe is the coach. Joe brings a wealth of international experience, a deep understanding, and importantly, the Australian football landscape, and a proven track record of building and leading elite teams. His experience speaks for itself, but what has impressed us most was his clear vision for the CommBank Matildas, a vision that aligns with our federation's ambitious to be world leaders in the world game. Now is our time. We are at an exciting moment for the Matildas. With the AFC Women's Asian Cup 2026 9 months away, we expect this team to be focused, driven, and ready to show the world what we believe they're capable of. We also know success is not about today. It's about building for the future. Joe's appointment is a step forward in strengthening the pathway for the next generation of CommBank Matildas. Joe will be meeting the playing group this afternoon ahead of this evening's game. I know all Australians will be behind him, just as they are behind the CommBank Matildas. And now I would like to warmly welcome our new CommBank Matildas coach, Joe Montemuro.
Thank you, Heather. I'll start with the thank yous. I haven't got a scripted, speech because I want to speak from the heart, because I'm here, because of the love of the game here and the love of, and the opportunity to come back. So for me, it's a massive occasion, and I'm probably going to struggle with words to tell you how much it means to me personally inside. But first of all, I want to thank Heather because she's kept in touch. We've had many discussions, and her belief and her trust and her vision aligned with what I believed and what we believe is the way forward for the Matildas. So I want to thank you for everything you've done to get me here this day. But more importantly, I want to thank you for the support that you've given me. It's been a long journey, and it's been a long journey. And I know that Mr. Gary Moretti also has been brilliant in the last probably couple of weeks, just trying to get things sorted and making me feel so welcome and making the process, I suppose, a little bit smoother. And also the chairman, Anta Isaac. The belief has been absolutely amazing. And Sam Ciccarelli, is Chica? They've all been fantastic. So I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart, really, because they've made the process really, really, really important. My agent, Mario Cennoli, he made it happen overseas. There was a lot of interesting twists and turns along the way to get here, and Mario was absolutely amazing from this scenario forward. We were having a coffee before, and George presented me with this pen. There it is, and I got a little bit emotional because it sort of hit home that all these years that I went through the coaching journey in Australia, all these years that through the A-League and working as a coach who was never afforded the opportunity as a top player because I wasn't a top player, and to be given the opportunity to lead probably, I think, one of the best brands in the world, one of the most exciting teams in the world, and to do it at home and to do it with a level of pride, for me, it's something quite emotional. So. As I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to tell you how important this is to me and how important it is to the opportunity it affords me personally in my career and as a person to bring the game to the next level. So I want to thank you, and I hope we have a good working relationship together from here on, and because we want the game to grow.
We'll open up to questions.
It's my trademark, mate.
Well, congratulations, Joe. As Heather said, all good things come to those who wait. How did you feel about the length of time it took? And have you spoken to the players already? I know you'll be meeting them in person this afternoon, but have you spoken to some of the key players already?
No, the only time I've spoken to a couple of the players was Steph and Caitlin at the Champions League semi-final a couple of weeks ago, which I don't really want to talk about much, so we'll leave it at that. No, I haven't spoken to the players, but look, it was pretty much a situation of respect by both parties. I had to respect my situation at Lyon and obviously the situation at FA, and to be honest, it happened the last couple of days. So honestly, I signed the contract on the 31st of May, and here I am. So it's the last sort of couple of days has happened so quickly from that perspective.
How difficult was it to decide to leave? Fantastic job at Lyon, and sort of what was the defining element that just pushed you over the edge from a fantastic year you're already in?
It's a good question because there's a lot of things that probably go through my mind at the moment. Look, Lyon's an amazing club, and I had an amazing season there, and obviously the situation was to continue the process. But I assessed a few things, and I said to myself and obviously my wife and family, and said, look, this is now an exciting cycle for the Matildas, the Asian Cup, World Cup, Olympic Games, and the opportunity was too good. Plus, there's something inside of me that was just telling me it's time. So I had to make a hard decision, a very difficult decision, but I believe the decision standing here now is the right one.
Do you have enough time now to prepare adequately for the Asian Cup, and how winnable do you see that tournament being for the Matildas?
Yeah, the preparation, I think, and I have to thank Tommy Samani, because it being a sort of a non-qualifying year in regards to there's no major tournaments, it's actually been positive, because Tom's been able to sort of do a bit of a process of bringing in some players and giving some opportunities to some players, stabilise the situation, and then from there we can bring it forward. So I think it's all set up really for me to sort of take over with the staff and bring it to the next level. Is the Asian Cup winnable? Of course it is. Of course it is.
Joe, can you give us a bit of an insight into the timeline when you first really started considering it? I know you said you only just signed the contract, but when did you start trying to get things in place to get you to this point?
Again, it was really difficult to sort of do much before the last couple of weeks. That's the honest truth, because I had to respect my situation at Lyon. And obviously, you know, when players get a wind that the coach is leaving, and I was also part of a rebuild that was happening there at the time. So players were sort of signing on the pretense of me coming, of me staying at Lyon. So it was always in the back of my mind. Obviously, it was always here. But the reality is, the last probably week and a half is when it really started to go forward, and and the club were fantastic. The club understood my situation, and they were quite. Obviously, not happy and disappointed that it happened in the way it did. But the reality is that I had it in my heart to come here, and they understood the magnitude of the role and the magnitude of the job, and they then negotiated with FA to do all the particulars.
Joe, you were here in May last year, I want to say, with the All-Stars.
May last year, yeah, for the All-Star.
Did anyone from FA approach you? Because I think at that time you were out of work, or did you even have a conversation at that point about?
We've had some ongoing discussions.
Yeah.
So there was always contact, there was always discussions happening. So, to the credit of FA, they had to do it in a way that was, discreet. I'm under contract, and they can't just approach me directly. It's a breach of contract. You can't do that. So there are some professional sort of standards that we both had to adhere to, and from my perspective, they did it the right way. They found the little windows to chat with me, again going through my agent, and then allowing Lyon and speaking to Lyon and allowing to chat. So we had to do it in a professional way, because that's the way it should be done.
Is that a bit of a, if you could have got Joe before heading into the Olympics, knowing Tony wasn't be there, is that a bit of a misstep? We've had 10 months of waiting.
No, I think it's fabulous, because Joe's now got a French championship under his belt and has experienced the biggest club in the world. And actually at the time, 12 months ago, that Joe was appointed the All-Stars coach, we're about to go into an Olympic Games, and so respect is important for Football Australia. And Tony Gustafsson was taking the Matildas to the Games to win a medal. So I don't think it's a missed opportunity. Everything happens for a reason. And I believe this moment is now, and to have Joe with a French championship under his belt is only going to help the Matildas.
Joe, we love referring to you as the serial winner at Channel 10. How much of a step up is it coaching a national side?
Look, it's football. So, and I'm sort of approaching it that way. Obviously, the processes and the nuances will probably be a little bit different, because you don't get to see the players every day. Look, the pressure in the environments that I've been in is always there. It's always there, and I look at pressure as, you've probably heard this cliche many times. Pressure is a privilege, because that means you're at the top. So I know the pressure that comes with this job. I know the expectations, but I also know what needs to be done in regards to that leaving that legacy to go forward, and the structures that's needed to go forward. So I want to win. I want to win playing a great brand of football. I want to win because I know the nation will be behind the successes we're going to have.
Can you tell us a bit more about your plans for the team in terms of on the field, tactically? Where do you want to take them? What is your philosophy?
You want me to talk about philosophy, game style, and I like it because you've asked a football question. Fantastic. We're here. Okay. I've always been a proactive coach, always, and you're going to hear things that you've probably heard before from many coaches. Obviously we want to control the game. We want to have the ball. We want to be able to control the game even when we don't have the ball. So it's very important that all the phases of the game are in a way controlled, if you want to say it from that perspective. But you'll see a team that will take risks. You'll see a team that's going to be brave. You'll see a team that's going to excite. And I know no other way of playing football, it's a matter of now instilling that identity. But the beauty of it is that I think we've got some traits as athletes in Australia that can really bring that to life, and really bring that in a special way, an Australian way, hopefully.
Do you see your new role now as working with a new look team as well? Do you see this as a period of refreshing, moving into a new phase?
Look, it's a reality. It's a reality because, I think the work isn't so much done at the moment straight away with the Matildas. I think it's going to be a process of working with the teams underneath and creating that sustainability. it's what I love doing. It's what I love doing, and working with the 20s, working with the 17s, but putting in processes now that every player has an opportunity. Everyone has a chance to be put in a situation where they have an opportunity. You know, I want to be able to leave a situation here or create a situation here that every young female player dreams of the opportunities that are going to be given to them and that pathway. So we are going to be working with a legacy of process and development going forward. Absolutely.
The 20s and the 23s just recently got new coaches as well. Have you had a conversation with any of them to discuss what the philosophy is going to look like?
I haven't had direct conversations because I can't, because I just signed the other day. But I did send a couple of texts to the guys yesterday, and we will start the process working. But as I said, I haven't been able to do much for the respect of the club and the respect of FA, because my contractual obligations have been, and my phone's always monitored, so I can't.
Are you going to be staying in Australia while you have this job?
I'll be based back home. Yeah.
And based on what Joe's just been talking about, his familiarity and passion for the junior setup, how important was it for you to get someone, not only his calibre, but someone so familiar with the Australian scene and Australian?
It was absolutely fundamental. We had a criteria going into the global search of a coach, and every one of the criteria, Joe ticks. And that's the reason why we have fought so hard to get Joe back to Australia, because he's Australian, Australian based. He loves football, he loves the nation, he wants to develop the next generation, and he knows how to win. A few trophies, huh, Joe?
A few trophies.
And one thing we've seen Tom do recently is blood in the young stars of the A-League. We've seen what you've done at Leon as well. Are you looking to do something similar, and how's that going to look for you?
Yeah, as the earlier discussion, it's because this year has been a non-qualification year. It's been fundamental that Tommy's done that work in terms of the A-League. And look, I only express the fact that the A-League does have really, really positive value. I mean, I do think it's a really, really valuable league. It's just now creating that scenario where the league can sustain keeping players here for the right level of development. That's what it's there for. So it is important.
The connection with the fans, obviously, we've seen, games being on Monday nights or Wednesday nights, fill out 80,000 seat stadiums. What is that like for you? How important is that to you, and are you going to take that into account as well?
Well, I mean, the fans, it's our obligation, to respect the brand, and the brand does give entertainment. I hope I can bring a bit more football entertainment. So we hope more fans will come, and we hope more people want to come and see the games, because it's an amazing brand.
What's the approach with Sam Kerr? Obviously, she's had her injury, and then we haven't seen her. She's still effectively captain. Do you sit down with her at any point over the next couple of months and work out where she fits in this, and will she be back for the friendlies in end of June? Is it?
Yeah, my intention is to sit down with all the players, even the extended squad, and just map out a process, through the profiling of what's required to play the brand of football that we want to play, but B, even from a physical perspective, and C, even from a mental perspective, because you can get fit, you can get right tactically and all that, but then some players go through processes where, are they mentally prepared for a big tournament? So, and Sam fits into that scenario where we're gonna assess and monitor and see where she's at. Let's get her fit and right, and then we'll have those discussions from there.
Joe, this job would have been in the back of your mind, I'm sure, when Mary Fowler unfortunately did her ACL. I mean, how much does that affect what you probably were maybe thinking about what was possible with the Matildas in terms of the front third?
Yeah, Mary's a special player, and I can tell you from a top club perspective, she's in the eye of a lot of the big clubs. So it's unfortunate for her. It happens, but she's in probably the best environment with the City Group, having had the experience with the City Group, to know that from a physical and from a training load and from a return to play scenario, she'll be right. So hopefully she'll be right for the Asian Cup.
From the style of play perspective, are we looking to see something similar?
Sorry.
Our helicopter's about to pick us up. It's about to land us.
It's about to pick us up. Sorry. Yeah.
So just from a style of play perspective, are we looking to see something similar to Lyon, or are we looking to be a bit more adaptable to the players we have available for the Matildas?
Did you watch a lot of Lyon games?
I wouldn't say I watched every game.
Did you watch a lot of Juve games?
Pardon?
When I was at Juve, did you watch a lot of games then?
Unfortunately, I didn't see.
What about Arsenal?
Arsenal, yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah. Look, it's in my DNA. Yeah. It's in my DNA, and I think the biggest thing, you can all talk about a philosophy and a methodology and a way you want to play. It's how you roll that out and how you sell it to the players. I've sort of developed it over many years to be able to sell a pretty good product, I think.
Heather, can I just ask just about something else that was obviously in the news yesterday regarding the situation in Victoria with the A-League player and the non-A-League player who have been charged with the fixing allegations. What was your reaction to that, particularly considering the games which really only just dealt with something similar not so long ago?
Yeah, look, I think that's a matter of the Victorian police, and what I will say is Football Australia takes our integrity very, very seriously.
Joe, for you, how far away are the Matildas from your brand of football to where they are playing now?
Not far. It's really, and it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to see the first game I take over, and all of a sudden we're getting 85% possession and we're entering into the attacking third, 40 times and all that sort of stuff. You're not going to see it straight away. You'll see little dribs and drabs coming through, but the most important thing is to have it ready and understanding for the big tournaments. When it's important. So for me, it's a matter of creating a whole of football idea or perspective going forward, so that we understand what our identity is.
Promises trophies in the second year. Do you make promises like that?
I cannot put myself in the category of Mr. Postecoglou. He's a top coach. He's at one of the biggest clubs in the world. The only promise I make is that we will play an exciting brand of football, and that the integrity and the level and the respect of the Matildas will always be at the top of my thinking.
How long have you signed for?
I have. Am I allowed to say that?
I don't know. How long are you signed for?
I don't know. I didn't look at my contract. I just signed it like that. No.
Did you look at the contract, Heather?
Of course, I looked at the contracts.
Yeah, I have up to the Olympic Games.
So how big do you envisage the Asian Cup will be for this country? Do you feel like people here having it, even though they've just experienced a home World Cup, maybe not prepared with how big this one will be as well?
Well, I assume it's going to be huge. I think there's a thirst to watch big tournaments. We're an events-based country. We love our events, and we support our events, which is really unique. It's really unique. So I think that the support will be amazing, and as I said, I can smell some success. So let's hope it goes that way.
When will the rest of your coaching staff be announced?
Yeah, we're in the process at the moment going through that. We hope to have some announcements over the next couple of weeks from that perspective. But from now, it's, as I said, 31st I signed, finished at 5 o'clock with Lyon on the 31st, and handed my stuff back, and now I'm in Matildas mode.
What does Ellie make of you being the new Matildas coach?
I actually had a coffee with her the other day in Lyon, and she was sort of prying and winking, that sort of stuff. So, but we had a great season. She really went the next level, which was and to have that type of player who loves representing the national team, coming back and with a little bit more too. I think it's quite exciting.
And, you're clearly happy to wait for Joe, but had this not worked out for any reason, have you had a deadline in terms of getting something in place before the Asian?
Yeah, of course. The deadline was June, and that's what we spoke about. And throughout this whole process, it was important for us to not just focus on Joe, even though he was our number one. We needed to continue to keep talking to other coaches, in which we did, right up until the day that Joe signs.
All right. We might draw to a close. We're going to go down for some photos as well, down below. So if you guys want to follow Rich, but thank you. Thank you very much.
This way. Okay.
There's no such thing as a friendly. The Matildas are running amok. Lofton in! Big night for this country's favourite sports team.
It's just a privilege every time we get to wear the Australian jersey and represent our country.
She is such a crowd favourite, too hot to handle.
To be able to put on the jersey and be the best player you can be because you've got all of Australia backing you.
For the Matildas, the darlings of Australian sport.